Oh, hello! Once again, it is I, Gomi, and we are going to be back with some more coverage of UFC 281. We're going to be looking at the last fight on the main card, which is going to be Dan the Hangman Hooker versus Claudio Puelles. I'm not going to pronounce his last name again in this video because I will butcher it. Oh man, so as we all know, Dan is in a rough spot. He's had a very poor patch. He's not doing so good, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't like his chances in this fight. I know he's the favorite, but I'm just not liking how it's looking with him. I'm not liking this matchup for Dan. I don't like any matchup for Dan other than a Tony Ferguson matchup, to be honest with you. Claudio Puelles is not a bad fighter. He's not a jobber. He's a hungry up-and-comer versus Dan, who's honestly a veteran now at this point. That's surprising to me because I remember back in the day when Dan was the up-and-comer, tearing through the division, knocking out Gilbert Burns, having a war with Paul Felder, fighting against Barboza, putting on a battle against him. Now Dan has been through the ringer. He's been annihilated, and his management team just hates the man and just searches for the worst possible fight for him. They're like, hey Dan, I don't think you could win this fight. Let's book it. And Dan just goes, I just like to fight. I just like to fight, man. Regardless, we're going to be looking at the fight because I am still excited for it because I am a Dan fan, but Claudio's a beast. Looking at it, this is going to be a lightweight bout. Thank God Dan gave up on the featherweight dream. That was horrible. Dan Hooker, he's going to be 32 years of age with a record of 21 wins and 12 losses. Oh. He has 10 KOs, 7 submissions, which surprised me, to be honest with you. He's going to be 6-foot switch stance fighter with a 75-inch reach advantage, a 0.89 takedown average, 36.67% significant strike accuracy, and he's a minus 160 favorite. The love for Dan is still strong. There's a lot of people that are loving on him. He's got the city kickboxing team along with him. A lot of them on there. Izzy's going to be on it. Brad Riddell's going to be on it. I'm not sure. I believe there's some more people from city kickboxing on the card. But regardless, we'll see how much that even really helps him. He's going to have significant wins over Nasrat Hakras, I'm not going to pronounce that again, Paul Felder, James Vick, and Gilbert Burns. Yes, he took out Gilbert Burns. That of all his wins is the one aging like fine wine. Dan up to welterweight. He beat the number 3 or 4 ranked welterweight. I don't want to see that. His opponent is going to be Claudio, and Claudio is going to be 26 years of age, having a pretty good record of 13-2, 2 knockouts, 7 submissions, 5'10" in terms of height. He is a southpaw stance fighter. He has a 72-inch reach disadvantage, a takedown average of 2.74, with a significant strike accuracy of 38.71%, being a underdog. Boasting some significant wins over not that many people, but Clay Guida and Jordan Levitt. But good wins, particularly the Clay Guida win. That's one I really want to highlight, to be honest with you, because that was a surprising one. Clay Guida is well over the hill. You thought you cringe at Dan Hooker's record. I cringe at Dan Hooker's record. Look at Clay's. Ooh, man. And that was Clay's last fight. Clay took Puelles down, and he just absolutely reversed that knee bar. He got that so fast. That was insane speed, and he took out Clay Guida with that. And that's the thing I'm going to highlight. Claudio is going to be a grappler. This is a striker versus grappler. Claudio, honestly, is not that good on the feet. He does not really have good hands on the feet. One fight that I would like to mention with Claudio that just is an avenue for Dan Hooker to win is his fight against Bravo. Bravo came in there like a Diaz, taunting here and there and just throwing the same 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and then eventually it was a shot to the body that just took him out. That is something that Dan could absolutely do due to the fact that Dan has a significant advantage when it comes to his reach. Well, not significant, but 3 inches is good enough. And Dan still is a very good striker. It's just, I think his chin is sus, and I don't think he can handle a good grappler. I really don't think he can. If we look at his stats, he's got some pretty solid accuracy overall. He's got a good bit of knockouts, and that's the thing about Dan. He's just more so a volume fighter. He's more so just throw volume after volume after volume, and he is pretty creative with shots, but he will get himself lulled into a brawl where he'll just go 1-2, 1-2, left, right, a la the Dustin Poirier fight, second round. Granted, he almost finished Dustin in that fight, which is very impressive, especially to do that against a striker as good as Dustin, arguably, in my opinion, the best striker at lightweight, one of the top 10 strikers in the UFC. To be able to almost finish him is impressive. Ultimately, he still lost that fight, though. That's something to mention. Dan's key is going to be abusing his range. He needs to abuse his range. He needs to keep distance. He needs to keep him at the end of his punches, and he needs to alternate body, head, body, head, body, head. He can't just headhunt. He headhunts a lot. He cannot do that. Also, if it gets into a grappling exchange, he needs to abuse his height as well too and launch knees to the body. I feel body work is going to be the best thing about Claudio because I've seen he doesn't handle body shots very well. But the main thing with Claudio, though, is do not go to the ground. Do not go to the ground with this man. This man has some pretty okay takedowns. Nothing insane, but it's good enough to dispatch someone like Dan, who has been taken down to the ground and then finished there on the ground. He's gotten up a lot of times, like when Dustin took him to the ground, but Dustin's not really a good wrestler. Got good jiu-jitsu, not a good wrestler. And he did escape a few submissions from Dustin, which is impressive because Dustin is pretty decent with his BJJ. It's just, like I said, his wrestling style there. He did escape an armbar and I believe a knee bar from Dustin, which is impressive. But I feel Claudio's going to cinch it in more. And like I said, that was Dan Hooker's last amazing, that was prime Hooker. Dustin took something from Dan. He took a part of his soul that he's never gotten back. And just since then, yeah, it's been a murderer's row, but man, he's not been doing good. He got destroyed by Chandler. He had a decent fight against Haqparast, but again, that was 1 week notice for Haqparast, and he just lost his goddamn mother, so he was not in the right shape. Annihilated by Makhachev, but it's Makhachev. And then annihilated by Allen, but that was a brutal weight cut. He shouldn't even been there. He should not have even been down there. And if we look at his overall career, he's had a very hard gauntlet, man. So, Dick Casey, then he went to Miller, Burns, Barboza. This was a violent fight. This took a lot out of Dan. Vic, Vic sucks. No. Iquinta, Felder's a lot better than people gave him credit for. Then he went up against Poirier. That's high competition right there. And then, like I said, I went over the rest. Hooker's main enemy has been his strength of schedule. He's gone to too many wars. He's gone against too many good opponents. And now this is not in the same caliber of opponents he's had. It's still not a tune-up fight. It's still not. This guy could absolutely take Hooker down. He could absolutely submit them. Look at that submission that he had against him and look against Clay Guida. And then look at what Islam did to the man. Islam took him down and he just cranked it with that Kimura. There's nothing stopping Claudio from doing that, honestly. If Dan gets down the ground, he's got maybe 1 to 2 chances, then it's over. I don't think he'll finish him right off the spot if he gets it to the ground. I think Dan has the ability to get up once, but that's it. That's all I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him 1 time to get up. I really like Dan. I really hope he can do it, and he absolutely can win this fight. I'm being really hard on him, but this is still a winnable fight. I don't think he should be the favorite. Maybe a pick 'em. It's going to be a hard night out, but if he's able to keep him at the end of his punches, don't go for kicks. Do not go for kicks. I know, Dan, you've got good calf kicks. That's good, but you can't go down to the ground with this guy. I'm not saying it like he's an amazing jiu-jitsu god like Claudio's Islam Makhachev, but just Dan does not have good submission defense overall. And I don't know how he's going to be. His last fight was a brutal fight against Allen with a bad weight cut. I don't know what shape he's going to be in. Ultimately, my official prediction for this fight, I am still going to have faith in Dan. I do have faith in Dan. I'm not going to call anything specific. I'm not going to go TKO or decision. I don't know. There's too many X factors in here. But I think Dan has the skills needed to win. But I'm not going to be surprised if Claudio comes out and submits him. I would maybe bet by submission. Maybe by submission. Honestly, yeah. Another thing to mention about Claudio, boy, he has no activity. My God, I just realized that he's only been fighting once a year, skipping 2017 and skipping 2020. That's something that definitely leans more towards Hooker's favor. Like, yeah, I think Hooker's got this. I think he's got this. But again, I'm just going to reiterate, it's going to be a hard night for him. It's going to be a hard night, win or lose. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know if you think Dan can make a revitalization. Let me know if you're rooting for our boy, or let me know if you think Claudio's going to take it. This has been Gomi. If you like the content, like, subscribe, and be on the ready for more 281 content. Bye-bye.